DeMond had a season's worth of progression in one game. Face that much adversity for that long of time and you don't lose confidence. Yeah. And then you come back there.
The year-long maturity of mental fortitude, I think is what you're referring to.
Usually you have to fail mid-year twice in that scenario. You did that all in one game.
Yeah.
That means in another big game, during that 3-game stretch, we have Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, that if he's faced with that, he's not going to win.
3 wide receivers, all right between 420 and 320 yards. 3 TDs, 2 TDs, 3 TDs. One dude that's 6'3". You got one dude that's 6'6", and then one dude that's 5'10" in a speedster. So they got everything.
They have like perfect, and they're all talented. The other thing he told me was how deflated the fan base got when they gave up that many points to Iowa.
I would be deflated as well if I give up 38 points to Iowa. I'm just being honest.
Welcome back to the Dubbed Up Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Flaunt, and we are coming back after a crazy victory in Maryland. Go, like, subscribe. All that helps us with the algorithm. I got my guys, Izzo and Noah, with me. Izzo, what did you think?
Been chomping at the bit to talk about this game, man. I'm more enthusiastic about this than I would have been had we gone down there and won by 2 touchdowns. The amount of grit that it took and leadership from players in the locker room to rally that team is so encouraging. DeMond looked like he was rattled on the road to start the game. Like they just were kind of out scheming us and they were getting a lot of pressure. Their defensive line is nasty. And it felt like that it was fixable. Jed Fish has been in this situation plenty of times in his career. And I know that he's worked as position coaches where he has to calm down players. And I know he knows DeMond very freaking well. Like that they are tied at the hip and that him and Jimmy Doherty, they can get into a room together and calm him down. And that's why I was tweeting at halftime. I was like, get him to laugh or something. Like that's how you calm a younger kid down. Like, you don't kind of go calm down, relax. You poke some funny, like get people loose, confident. And it sounded like what it really was at halftime, the whole room was confident. They knew they were still better. Dude,
I was planning on talking about this, but Izzo, that video that UW put out and Devin Bryant, what was he doing in the locker room? He was going up to every single defensive player.
I didn't see the video.
Dude, he goes, 1 stop. We need 1 stop. Get the offense back on the field. We need 1 stop. And then you see Jed say the same thing. 1 stop and we score. 1 stop and we score.
Yeah.
1 stop and we score. And then after the game, dude, the boys started chanting, 1 stop and we score. Dude, I'm like, I'll run through a wall for this guy, man. And it was like, you can see it just permeate into the players.
That's what I'm talking about. It permeated outside of the locker room and onto the field, and they took more adversity. Then they overcame it again. Maryland is good, dude. Like straight up.
They're really good. That defense is nasty.
Yeah, they're going to upset some teams. And I don't think you two guys will disagree that in 2 years, they're going to be a force. Like maybe even next year, frankly. I don't know.
Hopefully they keep their players because they have a defense that is going to surprise people.
Can I say something on that really quick, Izzo? Dude, Mike, you bring up a good point. Hopefully they keep their players. You know what Mike Locksley has done so well? Dude, he has built a freaking fence around the state of Maryland.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of good players in that tri-state area, man. I'm telling you. That's where
was it the quarterback like a top 50 prospect and they got him to stay?
I mean, that is how you build big programs when you're I don't want to say they're a small program, but I mean Maryland, they're a basketball school.
They used to be somewhat of a doormat for a while.
I mean, and they kind of are. But dude, I'm telling you, man, that this defensive end, Zahir Mathis, that's his name, right?
Yep, Mathis.
Yeah, I mean, and Sydney Stewart.
I mean, dude, those guys.
When Stewart went out, it changed the game. When he left, it changed the whole game.
I know. We'll get into
I just want to wrap this up really quick.
Go ahead.
Just by saying that the reason why that game is so important, not only for the team buy-in and the confidence that they're going to carry into this next game, I don't think anybody feels like, even though Rutgers is a good team, that now after that game that we're going to lull, like that we should come out and handle business next week.
It's the emotional hurdle that you were talking about, because it's not even just this season. It was the whole stigma of going on the road and winning. We did it WSU, but then going 3 time zones and winning again.
It's not just that. Like, of course, those things are big, right? But it's that DeMond had a season's worth of progression in one game. face that much adversity for that long of time and you don't lose confidence. Yeah. And then you come back there.
The year-long maturity of mental fortitude, I think, is what you're referring to.
Usually you have to fail mid-year twice in that scenario.
He failed for 48 straight minutes. Yeah.
But you did that all in one game.
Yeah.
That means in another big game, during that 3-game stretch, we have Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, that if he's faced with that, he's not going to win.
Because he's done it before. Yeah, he's done it before. Well, let's do this. Let's take a look at the offense then, because the offense, like you said, for 3 quarters or for the better part of 3 quarters was just inept. I mean, it looked so bad. They looked like they had regressed so far. And then all of a sudden a light switched on and a whole different team showed up. And next thing you know, we're scoring 24 unanswered points and winning the game. And everybody's like, wait, what? Noah, what did you think when you saw the offense start a certain way and then end a completely different way?
You really saw the difference between preparing for an offense or a defense of 1 week and a team that got 2 full weeks. Maryland tried to do what Ohio State did. If you're going to bracket Denzel with multi-level cloud coverages, rolling the safety over the top, it comes down to a numbers game. And I'm going to say, man, it's hard to continue to shut this offense down for 60 minutes when in the end, you just don't have the numbers and the guys to do it. And hey, like we said, tip your caps to this Maryland defense. But dude, they don't have the erasers at each level Ohio State does. They got some erasers in their linebackers. Do they have them, in their secondary?
Izzo, what did you think as far as like really breaking down the offense?
I think that the interception was a nod toward him lacking confidence, and then the fact that they were getting so much pressure off the edge, specifically on the left side, and those 2 edges. It's crazy that those 2 are freshmen. They're both going to the NFL. Like they're both on that trajectory of being top 2 round picks, and so he was shaken up. As soon as the second half started, I was immediately calling for just get him in a rhythm, like just get him confident with some underneath passes. And when they started to try to take away Denzel, which is weird, it's this weird football math, but when they started bringing that cloud coverage over to shut him down in the second half, or they did that more in the second half, Damon was talking about it, things started opening up underneath. Yep. I've said that if you have to rely upon your tight ends to be the reason you win a game, that you're not in an ideal position. What I think that I forgot is that we have someone very special at tight end who can make things happen after the catch in Decker DeGraff. And I think I just needed to see it again to remind myself that he is special as a receiving tight end. And Jed talked about how during the Ohio State game, it's like he got his swagger back when he had that catch that brought him down to the
7.
And then he just looked very confident once that Raiden Vinesbright pass to the outside connected after.
That was a dime.
That was a seed, bro. Yeah, that was.
It was a dime, and I think I think we got sacked ahead of that, right? And it was like 2nd and 19 or something, and they connected and got it to 3rd and 9, I believe. And then we connected on that, and it was like, here we go. Now that's a rhythm established. And then everything started working. And they checked into the freaking zone. Demond and Jimmy and Jed are just like in the moment and executing perfectly.
Dude,
we had to score on every drive from there out from the game after the field goal. You had to go down and score on every drive and stop them on every drive. And it just went perfect.
One of the big things on that is you started to see us run more tempo. And that's what I thought.
And the tempo too. Yes. Yep. They were tired.
And the tempo, I'll tell you what, the tempo seems to have been working for us every time we've gone to it this year. And I think it's something that I'd like to see us do more of.
I wanted to just say one thing, just to wrap up what we were talking about, because it is worthy of being called out, that they were really tired in the second half, their entire defensive line. Yep. Things had to go perfectly wrong for them. Farouk drops at wide receiver, and beyond that, it has to do with the fact that they had Nasir Taylor out, Dede Holmes out, Sidney Stewart out, and they were bringing Mathis back in after that rolled ankle he had. Yep. And so they couldn't sub. They weren't deep enough.
But that's what tempo gives you.
And that's why the tempo works so well.
Yes.
Yep.
is because Damon had time.
I think those are the things. So that's what I'm saying though, is if when I was looking at the different message boards, I was on Dubbed Up and all that, I heard people calling out, like, one of the things I saw was, what was the dude that dropped the pass? Farouk
he had such a bad game. It was
but he catches that ball. How are we feeling about Leroy Bryant today?
He got burned a little bit, and then he closed the gap again on Farouk as he was running that. It was a seam fade, and it was 1-on-1, and they noticed it before the play, and they were like, you're just going to go here. There's one read, you're throwing it to him up. And he beats him a little bit. Then Leroy closed the gap. It wasn't luck necessarily. It looked like luck on a single pass through, but right as soon as he shows his hands, it's just enough time for Leroy to bat his arm right before that ball arrives. And it wasn't a ton, but it was enough to throw his hands off balance.
Leroy actually blew up a screen that looked phenomenal.
Leroy had an amazing game, straight up. I mean, I'm sure we're going to call him and talk about him, but we might as well now. Like, he had a fantastic game.
What do you guys feel about McCree as far as being our left tackle?
I think he was facing an unusually talented edge group that we are not going to face this week.
Ooh. What about weeks coming up?
Do you like that? Okay, we'll get into the Rutgers.
Yeah.
Dude, there's one. We'll talk about it. There's one.
Yeah, we'll talk about.
I will default to Noah's opinion on this. Obviously, I played Division I college football.
Izza always asks me, like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "Sometimes I just watch the trenches, baby."
He's just eyes locked in. But I will say this: like, I think that Max McCree is facing a guy. He didn't play since Iowa last year. His first game is coming off of the bench to play against Ohio State, and then he immediately plays a future first-round NFL draft pick.
Dude, I actually think Zahir Mathis is a future. I tweeted this out, and I'm locked on when I say this. What he is doing at 222, 225, that Zahir Mathis gets 6'6", 225. Dude, wait till he gets to 245. Wait till he gets to 250. He keeps that twitchiness, and now he gets some junk, in that trunk, dude. And wait till he gets a squat up to 500-600 pounds. Yeah. I mean, dude, that dude is going to be a monster.
Same thing with Stewart, though, too.
Yeah, I know.
I just want to say this to wrap up the point. Like, my point is that the kid didn't play. Max McCree hasn't played since last year. He was underweight at that point in time. And in his first games back, within 5 days or 6 days or whatever, I think it's 5 days technically. Yeah. Whatever, doesn't matter. He plays Ohio State's edges and then these kids. I mean, so it's two different types.
Basically, you're saying like everything after this is going to basically be a step down.
No, because I think Michigan's defensive line is nasty. But I'm saying this week, as we have to deal with it, for me, my opinion is that the notch of the talent level with Rutgers defensive line and edge group is undeniably not as good as Maryland and Ohio State. Like, and you just threw them it's the worst two teams probably to face outside of maybe Oregon's edges for him to get thrown into the Wolves.
Okay. Do you guys think Adam Muhammad is getting the ball enough?
I mean, the flip side is that it's taking him away from Jonah. So yeah.
That's actually what I was going to say. I think he's getting the ball enough because I think Jonah's that special. We talk about Jonah a lot as an elite runner, and he is. But dude, his pass catching ability is incredible as well, man. He had 8 catches in this game, in all forms and fashions. Dump offs. Screen game was impeccable, dude. For just under 50 yards, he had, and dude, he's quietly sitting right number 2 behind Denzel Boston with 19 catches on this team. I think that's what makes Jonah special is, dude, he can do all 3 facets. He got the vision for the runner. He's strong. He can also pass block, but then he can also catch the ball to the backfield and make people miss.
You have to take those reps from somebody else, Mike, is the point. And like Adam's very, very great. But he's returning kicks already for you, so he gets those touches, and he's phenomenal at that. So I just don't know where the touches are coming.
The reason that I bring it up is, you guys remember the screen pass that he caught? It was I believe it was a 3rd down.
Yeah, and he just back muscled his way.
Yeah, he was tackled and broke the tackle, got the first, and he seems to make these kind of like just plays that stick out and make you go, oh wow, I'd like to see him get the ball a little bit more.
He will next year. He's going to be 1A next year for sure.
Okay, all right. Is there anything else you guys want to say about UW's offense versus Maryland's defense before we switch?
The only thing I'll say is one thing, Mike. You asked this question. What's some things we saw? We are sloppy right now. We have got to clean up our penalties. Another game where I think we had 7, 8 penalties.
I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
We had 7 penalties for 64 yards, and they were big in the first half.
Dude,
how many of those penalties are from I actually don't know the answer to this question, but maybe you have it up in front of you, and maybe you don't. But do you know how many of those penalties are from guys who typically aren't seeing the field?
I mean,
how many is that of that is Max McCree or when Pocky came in?
No, I mean like we had we had back-to-back personal fouls on the first drive that
Landon had two penalties that killed the drives early on.
Agreed. So Izzo, it's not to your point. I mean, I kind of hear where you're asking that question from, but it's some senior level veteran guys, man, that shouldn't be making those types of penalties.
Yeah, I was actually curious.
Yeah,
because I couldn't remember exactly who some of these penalties were.
We just got to clean up, and I know guys get juiced up. You get there, you get in your stance, and dude, these Maryland defensive linemen, the Rutgers and Michigan, and I mean they're coming bad out of hell. They want to freaking crush your face. But dude, you got to stay still. You got to stay disciplined because I'm sorry, in college football, a 10-yard penalty on a hold, a 5-yard false start, dude, those are drive killers. And we got to be more disciplined. So to get better, you have to really, really cut those penalty numbers down.
I agree 100%. Izzo, then let's how about you start off then with the defense? Because I mean, it was like 2 different halves, and I mean, I have a whole bunch of opinions on the defense as well. What did you see? What did you like? What did you dislike? If you're coach Izzo, what's going on?
Okay, so we play this soft off-ball zone, right? Where in this game we're trying to keep everything in front, and that makes sense. They have good receivers. They have Malik Washington. He's completing passes. The problem is that their offensive line, like we called out in the preview, is very efficient in the pass block, and we weren't getting enough pressure on Malik. Some of the blitzes were getting picked up immediately. We were showing early, I thought, on a couple of them. We just weren't effective in putting a ton of pressure on Malik Washington, and when that happens, he's going to pick you apart with those receivers, no matter how soft the zone is. And so part of it is that like the game script and how the game went played perfectly into when we made those changes to come into man, cover 2, cover 1, and then mix up some zone in the second half. It did play out really well for us. Also, we got really lucky on some plays where, we'll leave the seatbelt penalty that was
terrible.
Insane
away.
That was
terrible, yeah.
But the Farouk was like, he had some drops. The Leroy one, there was a couple others too where you're like, how this kid can go to the NFL eventually. And
we said that in the pregame though. We said they're gonna drop passes.
Yeah, and so it was obscure. Like Loxley said in his presser, which I urge all of if you haven't gone and looked at that yet, you should. Because he spells everything out perfect for how everything went. And what he said was he thought that their guys didn't handle winning very well to like stay maintained, poised, and focused. And you could kind of see it with Malik
Washington. They probably thought it was in the bag, dude.
It looked like there was a lack of urgency for Malik Washington in the third quarter too, where he was okay with missing a drive. When
that kid Joyner got that penalty, like he melted down on the sidelines. The whole team on defense started melting down, and I was thinking, I was starting to think, go after him because
exactly
not mentally in that place. And that was something what you just said. If you're not mentally strong, you can't maintain.
So here's my perception, and this is I'll pitch it over to Noah, so I'm not taking up all the time here because we have a lot to talk about with the defense. it was at the perfect time that Walters decided to make these adjustments after that third quarter drive, because they were, even when they were up, they continued to pass. They didn't even try to run the ball, even though they were trying to do it with their like short game passing game. And we came up in man and started putting pressure on guys, and it threw him for a loop. And then we mixed all these different looks in, and that's kind of what happened. Malik wasn't ready for it. He looked kind of confused and lost and complacent. And they thought, like you said, Mike, they had it kind of in the bag, and that played out perfectly. And then we started getting pressure. Deshaun Lynch, I thought,
dude,
had a
he was shot out of a cannon on that play, boy.
We're comparing our edges mentally as we watch it to theirs, and they're like, man, there's so much bend on that defensive edge group for Maryland. Where's that for us? And then Deshaun Lynch in the third quarter, fourth quarter, looks like he's just a wrecking ball, and he moves really well, and he spin moves, all these different moves. Like, he just looked phenomenal. So did Jacob Lane. Again, he's just Mr. Consistent.
Same with Isaiah Ward too.
I thought the interior defensive line was getting some push in the first half. But the edge group really stepped up in the second, and it gave me a lot of hope moving forward, frankly. That is one of like the bigger takeaways for me, is like seeing Deshaun Lynch take that step up when we're not without Durfee, our best pass rusher, So that to me was the difference, but we'll have more to talk about. Yeah.
Right. Hey, Noah, I got a question for you. Your boy Dylan Robinson got a little bit baptized in the first half, but then kind of pulled himself up and did pretty well. What do you make of the defense, but specifically of his performance in some of those DBs?
Yeah, when you see him, I mean, we talked about this a little bit, over text today. It's when you're the young buck on the block, man, you're gonna feel a lot more passes, because people want to see, like, hey, we hear a lot about you, but let's see if you can back it up on the field. And they threw at him a couple times, and they completed those passes. They got him on a double move. They got him on that wheel route. But Dylan Robinson, I haven't lost a lot of faith in that kid. I still think he's a 1A type cornerback. But the biggest thing I noticed when I watched the game on the last 4 drive, where Maryland goes punt, 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 and then turn downs, was open field tackling, man.
Mm-hmm.
Dude. And you know who the head honcho, the veteran, Jacob Manu, man.
I love
schnozberries taste like schnozberries, man. I'm telling you, man, he's just got that nose for the ball, man. I mean, he's everywhere.
That's literally in my notes. I'm literally looking at that right now. It says Mono continues to play really well. Great tackler.
Oh my God,
that's literally what he does,
dude. But is that not true though, Mike? I mean, it's like he just seems he's always around the ball.
Agreed. 100. I'll tell you what, he's been one of my favorite players since he stepped into the lineup last week against Ohio State. And I'm very curious to see how he plays, especially if ZRS is going to be coming back this week and having the size, and then the guy that has the nose for the ball right next to him. Like, I think that's going to be something that's really good. One of the things I also wanted to ask you guys, and I noticed this a lot in the first half and the second half, was how much push Peppa was getting from the interior, and especially when you put him next to Thompson. They seem to look really, really good next to each other. Do you think we'll see more of Peppa?
You're starting to see, after 5 games, we are really becoming, along the defensive line, like situational type football. You see a delineation between who is in for our base fronts on first and second down, and then who we're bringing in for, like, what I like to call NASCAR packages or speed packages. Not that it's always that way, but I think that is going to be something you started to see in this Maryland game. I think you're really going to see it in this Rutgers game. Can
we run the NASCAR with no Durf?
I think we
could. We could.
Like, who's the 4 down lineman? Just out of curiosity.
Can we save that for the for the Rutgers portion, because I literally have that teed up in my question. Because I do want to talk about that, because I think there's a couple different variations, but I think Durf only kind of accelerates your NASCAR package, gives you that extra nitro boost. But I think there's some other guys that can help out too. So
okay.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say, who else do you guys want to call out on the defense that did really well, or that you would like to see do better? And so continue.
I wanted to say this, man. I always like to give kind of kudos to where they belong. And first off, I want to give kudos to Pep Hamilton, man, the Maryland offensive coordinator. He had a great game plan. You could tell he had 2 weeks to prepare, man. And dude, he allows Malik Washington to shine. He puts him in a lot of very
advantageous situations.
Yes, exactly, man. I mean, they do, and it allows him to stay composed. I mean, that little RPO where he runs into the end zone and flips that ball up. I mean, that's just a perfect play for a young quarterback to one read. It's not there, boom, run out, and I got a touchdown. And I'll say this: Malik might not be elite yet. He might not be him, as the young bucks say, yet. But dude, that kid's gonna be special. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad we don't have to see him. I think for a couple of years because, dude, Maryland's gonna ruin some college football playoff hopes for some people.
Definitely. Loxley's a really good coach. I was listening to his presser. He answers everything perfectly.
Dude, he might be a better recruiter than a coach too.
I mean, like
it's crazy. I saw a lot of hate towards him online.
Well, he was getting reamed in their presser. Like, I mean, it's like passive, the things that you would expect the reporters to be asking, but they just kept. I mean, obviously after the game that they blew like that, but he handled everything with grace. Gave the perfect answers for stuff like he talked about how in the locker room after the game that you watched, he's like, it's like I'm watching my kids, like basically dealing with the success that they themselves set up, just, dissipate, and how they all looked inward. And that's what I want, like that's what you want to have happen in that situations, is that your players are coming to the realization themselves that they blew it with their own demeanor because they had so many opportunities to win that game and they didn't take advantage. And that was really the difference of the game, in my opinion, was you have one team that stayed steadfast mentally, and the coaching staff did too. And it allowed them, that confidence allowed them to make the adjustments at the perfect time. And the players did too, and they never lost faith. And then you had the other team just completely melting down. With a 10, whatever it was, 14-point lead or a 10-point lead. And it's like, yeah, I mean, but you should listen to Loxley if you get a chance. I know I've said it a couple times. It was really, really well done. And I have nothing, just to echo Noah, they're going to be great. They're going to be really good. And I'm not just saying that.
Okay. A couple things I saw that I have in my notes. This is about the DBs. McLaughlin's still tackling really well, but still kind of struggling in man-to-man. There was a couple that pulled up. Prysock looked great in man-to-man, but I don't know if he'll ever catch a ball.
Yes. No, we have to talk about that.
I love Prysock because I think like he has become a dog as far as a DB goes, but can he catch? Like that interception hit him in the hands.
Dude, I was trying to give him love. We both were.
I just know that he should have at least 4 interceptions this year that are just pass breakups.
He's still going to get drafted.
Well, because he is so much more physical this year than he ever was. Like he had a tackle like behind the line of scrimmage, but in the center of the line, like it wasn't on the edge. I thought it was a linebacker that made the play, and he stands up, and I'm like,
dude, how exciting is it when Takario comes back now, knowing that if he could step up and be cornerback 1 and shut guys, they don't even try to go.
He really has been too. He's been cornerback 1 and he's played like it. And it's not been against toy offenses. It's been against the best wide receiver maybe in college football. And then 2 or 3 really good receivers in Maryland.
Yes.
And he's going to have a tall task next week against Rutgers because they got great wide receivers.
Yeah, they got a 6'6" receiver.
He's never had an issue with physicality. You know what I mean? He's kind of almost been too handsy, and he'd get those penalties. But now he has like physicality with a purpose, and his game speed, the way he reads the game, the way he positions his body, his overall game awareness, even with the 2x4 for hands. I mean, he really does. He's becoming like quietly, like we talked about it, man. Like he kind of gets overshadowed with Taco. He kind of gets overshadowed with this young Dylan Robinson. They're people are saying
that's who we were talking about.
100%.
Yeah. Just to echo what you're saying. Sorry to interrupt. I just say like it's the coaching staff.
Yep.
Like he's always had the ability. He just needed the right coaching with Jay Rich in year 2, with Taylor Mays coming in, but mainly Jay Rich and Walters in year 2. this scheme is so much more comfortable for him than what Belichick was asking from him last year.
I also think having Taco with him, like you can tell they're boys.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and like they support each other, and it seems like he
like
raises Ife's game, and I like that a lot. I think that's something that's I think it's something that's dope. I think it's something that I want to see more of. One other person I want to make sure we call out because he keeps being in the right place at the right time, and that's Mikel Esteen. Another pick.
You know what the strengths and weaknesses are. Like, he's going to miss you a tackle, but he's going to get you a pick. So we'll take that trade all day. And
you know what, though? You keep pushing turnovers, though. You keep putting that number up, and you go to the positive.
Yeah.
They ain't going to take you off the field. I don't care if you miss one or two tackles. You keep pushing you keep pushing that turnover margin up. They're keeping you on the field, man.
Let's wrap this up then real quick. And
what a fun game.
What did we learn? Because I'll tell you one thing, Jedd Fisch really stuck out to me. I thought his play calling the whole game was actually pretty good. Even in the first quarter or in the first half when things weren't working, things were open. They were just being missed. They were just not. The players weren't executing because of whatever reasons. And I thought he did really well. And then in the fourth quarter, you started seeing all those plays working. Like he does a screen pass into the blitz to Jonah Coleman that just gets broken for a whole bunch of yards. And it's just like it said, it's upper level play calling. And I'm tired of people talking about his play calling because I don't think his play calling is the problem. So my props go to Jedd Fisch.
Yeah, hey, that's a fair point, man. I will say that I'm happy. I'm so happy for him. It must have been such a relief, excitement, but also like, oh my gosh, we're 4-1. This is exactly where we're supposed to be. We just beat a really tough team on the road. That's going to be really good. They're going to end up with a good record. I'm just happy for him, just in general, like as a person too, because I know his mom was in the stand. I think she was there either watching. He mentioned, I'm pretty sure. So I'm stoked for Jedd. He deserves kudos. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually kind of what I had written out too for me, man. Is like, say what you want about Jedd Fisch, man. You know, people say, oh, he's a used car salesman. Oh, you know, he's only here for the short haul. You know, yeah. I mean, it is. It's just haters. But Jedd Fisch is a leader, man. There's characteristics you look for in a leader, man, and it's influence, it's attitude, it's empathy, it's vision, it's strategy. And I'm telling you, he brings that because you see the players start to exude those qualities on the field, start to exude those qualities in the locker room at halftime. What are they? We believe we're going to win this game, boys. And it's not the coaching staff, it's the captains, it's the young players. They're starting to exude. The followers of the leader are starting to become the leaders, and that's how you know a true leader. And man, I'm telling you, Jedd Fisch is a leader. He's a leader of men. He is, and it's my cap to him. And that's what I learned out of this game is that Jedd Fisch is a leader.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to this week. On Friday night, Rutgers is coming into town, and we owe them because we should have beat them last year in New Jersey, and we gave them the game. We handed it to them. Now they're coming in 3-2. 2 weeks ago, they had a tough loss to Minnesota, and they've shown a lot there. It's kind of a different offense than what we saw last year. They throw the ball a lot more. Guys, what do you guys think when as Rutgers comes across country? They're doing what we had to do last week, and they got a Husky team that's a buzzsaw right now. Noah, tell me what you want.
Yeah, I'm going to open this up real quick. Dude, Rutgers, Friday night, 6 p.m. kickoff. Second year in a row that this game started on a Friday night. Homecoming game for the alumni, homecoming game for the current students. Should be a sellout crowd. I think Jedd said every single game that he has been a coach at UW has been sold out. I didn't know that. That's pretty.
That's cool.
That is very cool. Little bit of a wrinkle in this game that's kind of interesting. So the Mariners rocking the Ners hat. This game is slated for FS1. Go M's, baby. And there's a chance that the game 5 could be right down the street. So there could be some movement here on when this game.
Did the Yankees win or lose today?
The Yankees won 9-6.
Then we're on. Yep. So there's a good chance there won't be a game.
I know. So there won't be a flex, but just letting you know, the weather will be brisk. Kickoff temp right around 60 degrees. The spread for this game, always like to talk spread, baby. Opened up at 10.5, quickly moved to UW favored by 10.5. Had some sharps come in, right, buy it down.
Wait, what did it open? What did it open at? It opened at 9, didn't it?
No, it opened at 10.5, and it quickly moved down to 9.5. And it actually has moved back up to a lot of money flowing in on the dogs right now. UW's favored by 11.5 in this game.
Oh, wow.
But here's something kind of interesting. This is the third game in a row that the opponent will be coming off a bye to play the University of Washington. I think the Big Ten is sure giving us some welcome gifts with these with how this is scheduled, man.
Yeah, 3rd of 5. Here we go.
And then next week we play Michigan at 9 a.m. West Coast time. It's
Are they coming off a bye too?
No, they're gonna.
No,
play
they're
USC.
not. But it's just a little 9 a.m. punch. But you know what, man?
Yeah.
Short week for UW. The staff moved up the schedule to try to kind of combat that a little bit. But that's kind of my opener. You know, like I always like to do, tell a little bit about the game. I think all time UW leads this series 2-1. Some of these Rutgers games, man, dude, there's been some craziness in these games that I'll talk about a little bit in my matchups that we've seen with special teams and some other quirky stuff. But let's get into the offense and we'll go from there.
Well, let me give my little thing here.
I want to hear it. Give me something good.
I'll just
give me something good, Izzo. Come on,
you creeper. This is like an obscure year for Rutgers because their defense is what's lacking for them, and that's not normal for Shianu. So I keep calling him Shianu instead of Shiano because of Keanu. I was
gonna be like, you're thinking about Keanu, aren't you?
I am.
Wait,
yeah, it's a weird Rutgers team. It's an unusual Rutgers team where they lack on defense, they lack depth on defense, and they have a lot of star power on offense. We're gonna go over, I'll preview all the different players and stuff like that. But one guy to keep an eye on is the slot receiver DT Sheffield, who was a target for UW out of the portal, and it was getting close. It was literally between us and Rutgers. I believe we either pulled off or he went on the Rutgers visit. We ended up with Jonte Cook as the intro there, and then obviously that was a complete disaster. And then going to Amari Evans, and so we just understand that is as you watch him, he's very special. They have their strength is their receiving core. But yeah, we'll get into it. It's a different Rutgers team than last year. It's way different.
Oh, it really is. I mean, last year it was Kyle Monungai running all over us, and now you have 3 wide receivers, 20, 29, 30 receptions, all right between 420 and 320 yards. 3 TDs, 2 TDs, 3 TDs. One dude that's 6'3". You got one dude that's 6'6", and then one dude that's 5'10" in a speedster. So they got everything.
They have like perfect, and they're all talented, and so they're all one's a sophomore, the 6'6". Should I just go off with this? Then
go ahead.
Come on, lead into it, Izzo.
I like to do these. I like to go through before we get into the podcast, and this is we've done this a handful of times this year, where I look at every single player that plays substantial snaps on their offense and their defense, and I want to go over that. And so we'll start with the wide receivers because we're already talking about it. KJ Duff is the 6'6" sophomore wide receivers, 225 pounds, 420 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns. This is their high point deep threat, obviously. Ian Strong's the guy who can do it all. 6'3", 211 pounds. He's a junior.
He played well.
He's their role.
Last year.
He's their role.
Yeah, he's very solid, and I think it's fair to say that Ian Strong has an NFL future. And KJ Duff at 6'6", 225. You don't know if sometimes 6'6" receivers, you have to be lightning fast to make it to the NFL. So we'll see if he's that type of guy, but he's very good. All 3 of these guys are good. Like we talked about, DT Sheffield, he's the senior from North Texas, transferred in. We were going after him. Rutgers going after him. Very talented, very fast. He is the guy. He's going to pose a interesting threat to us. He's the best slot receiver that I think we've played, and we've played, Ennis and these guys. DT Sheffield is really special. He's only 175 pounds, but he is shifty, and his route running ability is special. So just keep an eye out for him. Another thing about this team, they love. It's an interesting matchup, but if we play that soft zone, DT Sheffield can eat against that. because there are going to be a lot of stuff underneath. It'll be interesting to what we see, what we let happen from the beginning of the game, or if they try to change things up, because their quarterback, not a new guy to us. We faced him last year. Athan Kaliak Manis, thank you. Senior, I'll get your take because we all watched him last year. He's not like super special, but he's very reliable, and there's no real weakness in his game. He can get out and move. He's accurate everywhere. He has 2 picks on the year, but he's a leader, like just not like Malik Washington, where, he could be a top 5 pick one day, top 10 pick one day. He's just solid, really solid.
He's like a bean burrito, Kirk Cousins, man. Like no flavor and like nothing, just like beans, tortilla, Kirk Cousins, man.
There's not going to be any flash, but he gets the job done, and he's 6'3". He's not like a 6'1" boring guy. So yeah, no glaring weaknesses there. So there's your wide receivers. There's your quarterback. Tight end, they have a kid named Kenny Fletcher Jr., who they haven't really used a ton this year.
He can play a little bit though, man.
He's a phenomenal blocker. I've been getting into these arguments about blocking tight ends with Duck fans late at night on Twitter for a while now, because they have Kenyon Sadiq, who's a absolute freaking beast, obviously. But the challenge that they said that he's the best blocking tight end in college football. And he's only had, I think, like 14 pass blocking snaps because he's a receiving tight end. He gets out and they scheme him open, obviously. But I don't think you can put that label on a guy who's only asked to run block, is kind of my point. And that is a shining example of what I'm talking about in terms of like your best blocking tight ends in college football. A good one is Kenny Fletcher Jr., their tight end. Quentin Moore, obviously, he's playing with injuries all the time. But, he's solid across the board. But Kenny Fletcher is not playing with injuries. He's 252 pounds. And he's 6'3". And so he's a brick, but he can also catch. There's no real weakness to his game. He can run block. He can pass block. It'll be interesting to see if we do this soft zone that we came out against Maryland with, if we want to protect against the deep ball against this wide receiver group, if they target him a little bit more. But we'll see. There's so many with the 3 wide receivers. There's not enough targets to go around. Okay, that was your tight ends. That was wide receiver. That's your quarterback. I'll go through this offensive line a little bit quicker. All 5 offensive linemen.
Don't forget the running back, because their running back is quick.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. I'll talk about the running back real quick here first. Antoine Raymond, very good. Sophomore running back, 5'11", 205 pounds. Outside of the Iowa game, which Iowa's just basically dominating their offensive line for most of the game, he was lights out. I think he had 167 or 161 yards against Minnesota, which is not a cupcake defense. And he's just, I don't know what else to say. Like he can catch, he can run, he's fast.
And he just doesn't get that much opportunity. He's only got 87 carries. Yeah. But he's got 471 yards on 87 carries.
But this is what we're talking about. It's unusual. Rutgers' strength is all their skill position players. And I mean, they had Kyle Monangai, they had some wide receivers last year, but this year they have every position has a guy who can beat you. The problem is the offensive line. It's not the interior. All 5 guys on the offensive line are seniors. They have a right guard, Asamoah, 6'2", 311. He was honorable mention All Big Ten last year. So is their center, Gus. I'm going to botch his last name, Zilinskas. I don't know. Sorry. Either way, Gus Zilinskas.
Sorry, Zilly.
Sorry, dude. 6'2", 305 pounds. He was on the Remington watch list. He was an honorable mention All Big Ten last year. But the right guard, Asamoah, he's an NFL guy. He had a bad game against Iowa, but everybody did. It wasn't terrible. He was still their best offensive lineman in that game. But those are their 2 best offensive linemen, is the right guard and the center. Left guard, he's kind of okay, struggles at times depending upon the matchup, really. He did really good against Minnesota in pass protection, but I think they were kind of they weren't really going after him in that game. They were kind of scheming towards the right side, going after, they just weren't really going after him a ton. He struggled in the Miami of Ohio game that they had in pass blocking, which was really bizarre. And I think there's an area of opportunity with him if you want to stop beating up their tackles, because their tackles have been really bad. I guess.
Well, he got sacked 7 times against Minnesota.
Yeah, 7 sacks in a game is really bad, but still, their tackles are their weak point. They could spell some stuff and try to go after this left guard, but Tyler Needham, Taj White, they're both 305 pounds. One is Tyler Needham 6'4", Taj White 6'5", and they got abused versus Minnesota and Iowa. And I think our edges can eat in this game, and I think we can get it. I don't want to steal your thunder, Noah, because I haven't looked at your notes, but I have a feeling I know what you're gonna talk about with those tackles, because there's no way you missed it. But yeah, that's the area of opportunity, is get after the quarterback. I don't think you can blitz a ton, because Athan Kiliakmanis, he's very poised. He handles the pass rush very well. He's very good on the run. You're not going to beat him that way. I think you have to get to the quarterback with 4 or 5. That's my opinion. But I'll turn it over to Noah. What's your takes? Yeah, go ahead.
This Rutgers offense is usually kind of very balanced, but Coach Shiraka, their offensive coordinator, it seems like he's leaning a lot heavier on the run this year, 196 to 159, which is kind of interesting, which honestly really surprised me when you realize how talented these 3 wide receivers are.
Yeah.
But then you start to look at this like Antoine Raymond kid. I mean, he averages 94 yards a game. He has 9 touchdowns. I mean, he's a red zone hammer. He really has that nose for the end zone. I mean, if you kind of watch him,
how many touchdowns for him?
9 touchdowns. 9 touchdowns.
They've struggled in the red zone too a little bit.
Yes, I mean, but
not him.
Yeah, but you can tell when they give him the rock. But his patience, I think, what really allows Kelly McManus to go through his full reads and kind of allows them to open up that offense. McManus will run the ball a little bit.
Oh yeah,
and that whole RPO scheme, they're patient with it. I mean, they're patient, and then, dude, they'll take those explosive shots. Dude, they had 11 explosive shots versus Minnesota. They had 7 more versus Iowa. And so, if we're not disciplined, dude, this offense, man, they'll take some hitters on you. I mean, and they'll hit it on the ground, they'll hit it in the sky. So, I think this is a game where you're really going to see us play disciplined, gap, back-to-base football, where if we can tackle, we can kind of make hay and be successful. But you have to be kind of know your scheme, know your job, and kind of get it done up front.
Yeah, if the pocket holds with them, they can beat you for sure. It's all dependent upon you getting home on Kaliakmanis, and what are they at? 39 points a game right now. He's completing 67% of his passes, 8.8 yards an attempt. It's an effective offense. They struggle in the red zone a little bit, though.
I was going to say, if you watch their offense, I watched the whole Iowa game, and it was very reminiscent of a Kalen DeBoer offense. And what I mean by that is they don't do the pre-snap motions like KDB does, but similar formations, attacking vertically a lot. The deep outs they do the deep outs a ton, and then they play it off the RPO, and that way you can also run the ball, and they run the ball at the most opportune times. Like when you watch their running plays, the guy's scoring from 10, 15 yards out because they're expecting him to throw the ball, and they run a draw inside. If you, I'm looking up the Iowa game right now. Because the Iowa game and the Minnesota game, if you look at the pass attempts to rushing attempts, they're passing a lot more than they're running. It was against the lower level competition where you see that number so much more in favor of the run, and that's why I think you're seeing it skewed. I think when they come into UW, they're going to definitely be throwing the ball a lot. And it's going to be some of those quick outs and stuff that we've been seeing thrown against us the whole season. But they're also going to attack the seams. They're going to attack us deep. And I think having Takario back is going to be huge because our DBs are going to have to do what our DBs do.
You can tell Jed really wants him back for this game too.
For sure.
Yeah. And I think
Ryan Walters does too.
I think he's going to need it. But I also think that if you watch those games and throw the Ohio game in there too, because the Ohio game, that That defense
Ohio
did
State.
well. Yeah, those tackles.
Ohio.
Ohio against Rutgers.
Yeah, against Rutgers. Yeah, against Rutgers. Like they were able to eat on those tackles. Those tackles could not block the edges. And then when you start mixing in blitzes, they were struggling even more. I'm like I said, Minnesota sacked them 7 times, and Minnesota's okay.
They've given up 17 sacks this year.
Yep.
Terrible.
Yeah, and that's one stat I had was 17 sacks on the year, dude, which ranks 130th in the country. Remember, there's 138 teams.
That makes me worry because we've given up, I think, 15.
Yeah,
is it?
Damon's been sacked 15 times.
To be fair, hold on. To be fair on that's an interesting point.
Way better D lines.
The difference is, I would agree with that, Izzo, but that's kind of where I think Damon is his only kind of struggle is he holds onto the ball too long. I think the difference is dude, these offensive tackles are just getting straight up ass whooped.
Yeah,
they are, man. I mean, it's bad. I mean, dude, when you watch Minnesota, dude, they ran so many stunts on this offensive line. You know, and I know the tackles are tough, but dude, they had that center, man. It looked like he was in the ballet, man. He was spinning and dinning. I mean, it was bad. They that center. He didn't know who was coming at him, and that's the only piece that I think you could see. You get the Parker brothers back. You get Javon back. He'll probably play limited snaps, but I want to see some juice up front to kind of get this offensive line confused.
And it's big guys that they've struggled with Minnesota and Iowa. It's not your bendy Maryland guys. It's not like that there's a huge trend there because I'm sure they would struggle with Maryland's defensive ends, but still they're the types of edge rushers that we have actually that they've struggled with.
Yep.
So let's get into it then. Noah, continue where you were going with how's our defense going to get home and take advantage of this Rutgers offense because they are explosive. I don't want anybody to get that twisted. They can make big plays, and the quarterback in the games that I watched, I didn't think he looked flavorless, to be honest with you. I mean, he was making big time throws, and then when he was tucking the ball and running, he's got a lot more speed than I was expecting him to have.
Yeah, no, Kelly McManus can move. I mean, but I think this game is won in the trenches, man. And I think you have to make them earn it on the ground. If our base front can really exude the dominance on first and second and get them into third and long, I think this is when where you'll really see UW implement these speed packages that I'm talking about. And Izzo hit it. I'll say it again. They've already given up 17 sacks. Dude, this Rutgers O-line is extremely gettable. And like I talked about, if you can run some stunts against them, if you can do the Ryan Walters, what he's known for, show 5, bring 6, show 6, bring 5, drop into coverage. But this is a game where I think you finally see that speed package implemented. You punch them in the mouth on first and second down, and then you bring in this NASCAR package. And this is what I wanted to talk about. Without Durfee, what is this speed package? What is this NASCAR package? Who is on that? Who's on that line? I mean, I think you definitely have Jacob Lane, Isaiah Ward.
Yep.
Do you bring in you bring in Ontario Thompson with Lynch? I mean, what does that look like? Do you have
Ali?
Yeah, I mean, yes.
TT Ali? Yeah, I mean,
no, I like the Ontario Lynch combo for sure.
Hey, I'll tell you what, if ZRS is back, he's known for being able to rush the passer.
Yeah. Sounds like ZRS is back. And there's I don't know who said this, and I don't know if it was somebody that Izzo and I were talking to, or somebody told me that they think that if ZRS plays,
I told you this.
Okay, yeah. That they think there is a real possibility that he ends up with the most sacks on the team by the end of the year. Like they think he's that special. Was that one of your guys?
Yeah. That the belief is that ZRS can come in and be an absolute quiet. It's almost like we shouldn't even talk about it. Like a little secret weapon to get home, and that he may end up leading this team in sacks because he can close the gap and he's very fast, very big, and he's good at this.
What's he about 6'3", 230? Is that where
he's more like 6'4"?
Oh, 6'4".
Yeah,
I think big. So.
What do you think he is? What do you think he is weight wise right now?
Probably around that. Yeah. 230.
And the other piece where I think we can really get home in and be successful is I don't think it's undersold that having Taco back in a game like this is huge. I mean, Duff and Strong, dude, those guys are 6'6", 6'3", And I mean, dude, having the length we have and then also getting Clark and Leroy, both of them back. I mean, Rutgers is going to be really successful with this DT Sheffield guy. I mean, he is the type of player who extends drives, who they're going to go to on third down. And you're going to need Leroy Bryant and Clark to both have big games. So
I'm excited for Clark to be back, to be honest with you.
So the big thing with Sheffield, I want to say is this: how can you be successful against a guy his size? Do you allow him to just get a free release and kind of go two ways? Absolutely not. We need to go man up on his ass. Literally, just give him a punch in the face. He's 170 pounds. Dude, Clark, what I've always said about him is, when we signed him coming out of high school, I said he is a NFL caliber DB. He needs to get up in his ass and absolutely punch him in the throat a couple different times, get him off his release. Once you get him off his release, dude, he don't want to mess around with that. He wants a smooth release, two-way go, and be able to make plays. We need to out physical him off the ball, and that'll allow our defensive linemen and our defensive linemen, our edges, to get home and make plays. So that's kind of what I see is how you can get home and be successful against this offense.
Man, I love that. To be honest with you, I've been, especially with what's been working on us as far as the short passing game, having guys playing press man, and I'm talking also Taco and Efi and Robinson, because Robinson might be physically bigger than all those other guys, but having those big guys punch them in the mouth, disrupt timing, but also like get them feeling tentative when they're getting out of their breaks, when they're getting ready to get off on the offensive line, knowing that they're going to get hit, they're going to start pulling back a little bit and not being where they need to be in the timing that they need to be. Izzo, what do you think?
I'm going to be rather quick here just because, I think in many of the games that we've talked about this year, like we've said, highlighted, like, hey, if we can get home on on defense, that's the biggest factor. No kidding. You pressuring the quarterback is going to be what causes the defense to fall apart, obviously. I think in this game, it is like we can be done doing our football math with just talking about the edge, just talking about getting home on the quarterback. Like everything else, all the math equation, everything else after that is okay. I think if this is the number I want to focus on, if we can get pressure on 25% of snaps, if we do, then I think we're going to win this game. If we don't, I would not take the Huskies to cover 10 and a half. Like I wouldn't. And that's not an indictment on our team. It's just a nod that I think there's some recency bias in that spread. And I think it jumped up because of the hinting from Jed that Taco's coming back, Bobo's coming back into this game, and that you have him. But we have to. Otherwise, this is going to be a lot closer in the fourth quarter than I think we want it to.
Do we play it the same way? If Taco doesn't play, do we play it the same way with Dylan Robinson?
Yeah. It's just you have an elite level cornerback on that side instead of a really talented freshman.
Okay. All right.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, in my opinion. If if Bobo doesn't play, obviously it makes a difference a little bit. It does, obviously. But it's not going to matter nearly the amount as getting pressure on 25% of snaps on his dropbacks with 4 or 5, because you're going to have to keep everybody back, which is why I'm saying it doesn't matter as much that he is returning, because it does matter. I don't want to downplay that, but it also doesn't, because you still have to get Kalik Metis, because if you give him time, he's going to beat you somewhere else.
And that's what he's been doing all year. And I agree. And I think that's going to kind of be something through the rest of this year, is not just the front seven, but how our D-line is going to respond against these tougher offenses, whether it's rushing the passer or it's stopping the run, because those are all things where we've seen struggles in the past.
Now, there is one thing that we need to say before we move on from this, which is that within the red zone, they're at about 80%, mid 80s. So they're gettable to keep them from scoring. And if that starts happening for them, they are going to be in trouble if they start having to settle for field goals, which, by the way, their field goal kicker has been pretty bad, all things considered. Not like unbelievably terrible, but he has 2 misses inside of 30 yards. And I think last forecast I checked was it's going to be raining, not like dumping, but there's going to be some wetness on the field. And I like the fact that he's 5 of 8 right now with 2 misses inside the 30, and he has 2 missed extra points. And that literally, unfortunately, might be a big, it might be close enough to where that matters.
Okay. All right. Well, let's unless there's anything else you guys want to say about the offense, let's move to the defense, where you have a Rutgers team that's given up 30 points at least 3 times this year. The last 2 times they played, they've given them 30 or more. And be honest with you, they've struggled. Izzo, when you're looking at this defense, what stands out to you that's good and what stands out to you that's gettable?
I will start by just kind of going over like I do. I'm not going to go over every single player with the defense because there's so many players that play on defense for every football team. There's a lot of rotations to talk about every single defensive lineman. It's crazy. That being said, where this is a team like we talked about that is weird for Rutgers because Schiano his defense has been the weak point of their team. Their safeties have been bad in coverage. Their cornerbacks, they have 3. They're all 5'11". They have more than 3, but the 3 guys that play the most, it's Bo Masco. He's been their best in coverage. Cam Miller and Jacoby Henderson. Jacoby Henderson has really struggled for them. They don't have like a designated. It's like the Jacoby Henderson and Cam Miller. They switched, like one was the left cornerback for game 1, then they went the other direction and he was the cornerback for the right side cornerback for 3 games. Then they went back the other side. So they kind of mix and move them around. I get the sense that they probably do matchup stuff with the corners, but weirdly enough, they're all 5'11", like 185, all of them. Cam Miller had a good game last game. And he was okay against Iowa in coverage, but he's had other bad games. He grades out like in the 60s, high 50s, stuff like that in coverage. Their safeties, Jet Elod and Kosh Sanders, have been really bad in coverage. Eric O'Neill for them is their main edge. He's kind of a do-it-all edge for them. He's 6'3", 261 pounds senior. And the other guy, Jordan Walker, who plays the most for them, he's a sure tackler guy, but he hasn't been like you would expect at his size, because I think he's like 6'6", like 265. He's huge, but I guess maybe he just doesn't move that well or something like that, because he hasn't had a huge impact in a lot of games. But he's a sure tackler. And then they have 2 inside linebackers. The Daryl Jabome, Daryl Jabome, I think is how you pronounce his last name. He's a beast. 6'2", 240. Again, he's like a very linebacker-ish linebacker. I don't know a better way to put it. Not great in coverage, but very sure tackler. He's like their Manu. He's like their Buddha. And he's very good against the run, but not the best in pass coverage. He's okay. But yeah, outside of that, in the middle of that defense, their interior defensive linemen, weirdly, just none of them are really worth talking about a whole lot. They just haven't been that effective this year. And they have one edge who's been decent, and Eric O'Neill. And so they have some weaknesses straight up on defense. Like their corners are middling, probably bottom third of the conference. Their safeties, I would say, are dang near like the very bottom. And they have one good pass rusher, and nobody really crazy threatening in the interior defensive line. Part of that has to do with the fact that they're really thin. It's just weird. It's just they're really thin, like depth wise. And so that could be another formula for this game, is that if we win the time of possession piece and we start to wear this defensive down, I think it's going to be really close at half, and then we can start to run away and separate ourselves, and then they kind of maybe close the gap, and it's like a 7-point type of game. So yeah, so that's kind of how I see it, because they're really thin.
Yeah, I mean, Izzo, on your point, I mean, I know this is where you're going. I mean, Greg Schiano is kind of known for like that defensive-minded coach. I mean, always looking to have that tough D, gritty. But man, this year, I don't really know a different way to say it. It's just the struggles are, I think, because I just don't think he has he just doesn't have like the guys on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
I mean,
he doesn't have the horses.
I mean, they try to run the base 4-2-5, and even in that, I don't think they got 5 DBs that can match up with a lot of Big Ten. I mean, they gave up 38 points to Iowa.
Yeah, and they like struggled with the quarterback with Gronowski.
Which is like one of those things where people are their defense is tough. So it's like, if we can get 16 points a game, we can win ball games. They gave up 38 points to Iowa. I mean, when I look at these quick 5 stats through 5 games, just kind of set the stage for this defense. I mean, they've given up 25.4 a game. They've given up 35 points a game in Big Ten play. They give up 350 yards per game, 6.4 yards per snap. Dude, that ain't winning recipe. You're going to lose a lot of football games when you can get a first down in 2 plays. Dude, they've only had 8 sacks on defense and 2 picks, so they're not even winning turnover margins. They're not like flipping games on their head, trying to go like, hey, we might not have the guys, so let's bring some different looks. I mean, they're not creating anything. And then when the opposing offense gets into the red zone, they've given up 18 of 19 red zone trips. They've given up a score, and 14 of those are touchdowns. It's just the recipe to win with defense, with this staff, with this defensive coordinator. Man, I mean, dude, you're making burnt toast, man. I mean, it's tough to really do it.
You're not wrong. And actually, a game that I want to pull up is Rutgers versus Ohio. The big reason is Parker Navarro. We bring him up again. Throws for 239 yards, 3 touchdowns, rushes for 93 yards and another touchdown. He looked like Michael Vick against these guys. like I'm serious. Like the way that they played, they got lucky to get out of there with a win against Ohio. Now, you got to understand that 93 yards that he had rushing, that was part of a 200-yard rushing team performance from Ohio. That's Ohio.
Yeah.
You're talking about a G5 school that Rutgers got lucky to beat. And what I noticed, period, about this, when you have a mobile quarterback, because there were design runs to Parker Navarro.
Yep.
They just do not have the sideline to sideline speed to keep up with Parker Navarro. I love Parker Navarro as a player. I've been watching him the last couple of weeks, but compared to Damon Williams, it's not even close. We should, and then if you watch the Iowa and the Minnesota games, those offensive linemen were pushing Rutgers defense around.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's weird.
Anything is a zone running scheme. You know how we talk about the linebackers getting lost in the wash? Their whole defensive line gets lost in the wash when you're watching these plays. And I think you're going to see Jonah eat. I think you're going to see Damon eat. And I can see it happening early because our offensive line, if they do anything well, it's run block.
What's the over-under on this game, Noah? I think it's 58.5.
You say 58?
Yep. It's actually 50. So it's 59.5.
So that makes sense that it went up a little bit because, I mean, you know, I guess maybe I was a little bit too harsh in the beginning for a half because I'm focused on their offense. Their offense is really good. And I think there's some recency bias with their loss, like only scoring 28 against Minnesota. Like, I think they're a better offense than that. Minnesota's got a good defense, but to what you just said, Mike, about them getting lost in the wash up front, like just to piggyback on that, you can stay on script with this team and keep in rhythm, and we pick up where we left off against Maryland, and it's an easier opponent on defense, and we start to get into a rhythm. I don't think you're going to be able to get Damon shook in this game. Like, I don't think you're going to be able to rattle him at all, and that is not going to be a good recipe. Like, even we might be able to give up 28 points, 31 points in this game and win 42-31 type of thing. Or you just run Adam Muhammad, Jonah Coleman, you run them a bunch and set up the play action because you know they're undisciplined up front and they're thin.
Yep. What I had brought up too was about Parker Navarro getting the design runs and how well they worked against Rutgers. I'll tell you what, their offensive play calling at Ohio is good, but Jed Fish, what he does with those design runs with Damon is amazing. I love what he does with those design runs. If Damon doesn't, if for some reason his confidence gets shot on a bad pass or something like that, let him run the ball and get the confidence back.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I'm saying? Those kind of things you'll be able to do against this defense, at least from what I've seen on film.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to say is this: we talk about Devon and how elite of a runner is, but we've only truly committed to running design runs with him in one game, and that was the Washington State game.
Yeah,
I'm talking fully committed. He had 77 yards, I think, on 4, maybe 5 carries. I can't remember, but this is a game where if you truly commit to the design runs, I'm talking 5, 6 different times, QB power, maybe even some counter. I mean, these edges and linebackers, exactly what Mike's saying, dude. They'll get washed down, and dude, he will be able to run like Forrest Gump in the movie, man. I'm telling you.
I wonder if you even need to go with Demond.
Oh, like you said, you can just lean on the running backs and let them eat. You might be able to. From what I've seen, they just, like I said, up front, they're not strong enough to deal with a Big Ten offensive line. And then if you run to the outsides, they don't have the speed to make up the ground.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Dude, it's almost like, okay, think about like Ohio State with some of the glaring mismatches that they're going to have this year. I really do think like Jonah Coleman, Adam Muhammad versus that front 7 is like just our strength on a hardcore weakness. And it's just really obvious. And maybe you don't need to overthink it. And I guess my thing run the ball 60% of the time.
Okay, if you're going to go to your gunfight, only bring out your 9mm. But if you can go to your gunfight with the bazooka, please have the bazooka. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if we need it, can we at least have it in the package?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Like, yeah, keep it in the bag.
And Demond, it's just anytime we've actually committed to it, I mean, he is so elite at it. So it's like, if you don't want to bring it out until mid-second quarter, third quarter, if you need to,
no hits.
But at least let me know that we are making sure he realizes, like, brother, God gave you those 2 legs. Use them, brother, and we're going to call some plays for it. I mean, how beautiful, how sexy was it when we closed that Maryland game out?
I agree.
End it, man. I mean,
and to your point, you might have run so many plays at the end of this game because your offense is so effective that you need to do something different, and that's when it comes out. I just think Jonah is going to have a massive day.
Yep.
And he should. Again, if what we've seen on film is true, then we should be able to eat all day running the ball and throwing the ball. I mean, they were giving up deep. Their DBs were, at least from what I saw, were not worth a damn. They got beat deep in every single game that they played. And I don't know that Iowa and Minnesota are supposed to be phenomenal passing teams. And Ohio is Ohio.
No.
Hey, look, I mean, if you can't get to the quarterback and your 3 corners are all 5'11", you can't make that work. You know, I think that's where it starts for everything with them, is that like they can't get home, and you can't be thin on the interior also have 3 5'11", and 2 struggling safeties. But I just think it's like they're not getting home at all.
Well, and we were supposed to go into how UW is going to attack this Rutgers defense. I feel like we're kind of already
covered it.
We're kind of already in it. Noah, is there anything else you want to add? I know you got some other stuff in your notes, so I just wanted to see that.
Yeah, no, I the only thing I would say is, man, I think Greg Schiano will try to bring some pressure in this game. Once again, I think he kind of realizes the horse he's got on the defensive side of the ball, so he needs to create some turnovers. So I think he'll do that by bringing pressure. I think by bringing pressure will allow us to absolutely expose them with the screen game, and I think you'll see that with Jonah. I think you just need to straight up test these DBs, test them, and see if they can actually cover our wide receivers. I mean, I don't think they've seen close to the wide receivers we have on this team. Hit them over the top. I would love to see 4 or 5 explosive plays in this game through the air. And then at the end of the day, man, I talked about this a little bit of the sloppiness, but we need to finish. You can't have the penalties on these drives that result in field goals. We can hold them to field goals. They'll struggle, finishing. But and that's how we win this game, is holding them to field goals. But we can't do that. When we get up on them, man, you already heard me say it. Step on their throat and finish them. Don't allow these guys to hang around, because they got enough offensive firepower to do that. So when we get that, don't be soft in the red zone. Finish and let's close this game out. Going into the fourth quarter.
Yep, I feel like that's something that Jed Fish really understands. So I'm hoping that that's how it ends up playing out. Anything else you guys want to go before we get into impact players to watch?
No, but I wanted to quickly just look at this stat real quick, and I'm pulling it up. Is this right? 100? Are we at 190 yards rushing a game right now?
What?
We're at 956 yards on the ground total for the year. How many games? 5?
Yeah, 5 games.
6.
Yeah.
Divide by 5.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
okay. That is against.
I didn't know math was going to be involved in this. Yeah, I'm sorry.
We're averaging
191.2 yards a game on the ground.
Yeah, that's bonkers.
So Jonah Coleman has 10 touchdowns. Hopefully what the path is, this is how I hope the game goes. I hope the game is us long drives just doing whatever we want. Intermediate passing game, maybe a couple, a deep shot to Denzel, but I don't want us taking a ton of stuff deep. I do want us to get Denzel and Roebuck and Vinesbright going underneath to lengthen drives. But I want us to run like all game. I want long drives, keep the ball out of Kelly Ekmanis's hands, and away from those wide receivers and let that be the pathway. If they're going to, I do agree with you, Noah. Like, I do think they're going to rush the passer for sure. And absolutely agree. Jonah Coleman dump offs, Adam Muhammad, stuff like that. But you have your left tackle out, right? And we're bringing in Max, and he's been thrown into the fire. Run that thing behind Landon, run that thing behind Pocky, and go after him that way. Maybe, Geary inside too. But I think you just run in between the tackles and extend these drives, and then intermediate pass game.
Okay.
Get the ball out quick.
Well, then, Izzo, who are you going to be your players to watch?
Players to watch for me. One is Max McCree, because I want to see him versus not just absolute freaking beasts. And I want to see how he does and looks against, a mid-tier opponent. For me, I wanted Jonah Coleman, like I said, just a bunch of him, Adam Muhammad. I am infatuated like you guys are with Jacob Manu, and he's, I want to see him continue to be the leader that Jed talked about him as in the press conference this week. Like, I want to see him like barking at guys. I'm going to key in on him. So in terms of players to watch, Max McCree, I'm watching this game closely. Jacob Manu, Jonah Coleman.
All right. Noah?
Yeah, I got Isaiah Ward versus offensive tackle.
I like that one a lot.
Their offensive tackles are needed. Man, they don't like speed, and I think that's kind of what Ward brings.
I really like this one now.
Yeah, I think that Ward can get to Callie McManus. I think once, maybe twice in this game, and really kind of show his teeth. The other one actually is Max McCree as well, but I have a little added on there. I have Eric O'Neill, number 99, the Rutgers end, versus Max McCree. I think Max does all right with speed. I think it's power that he struggles with dude, this Eric O'Neill guy is strong.
He's what you were waiting to tell me earlier.
Dude, Dude, O'Neill's a JMU transfer. He's been trained through a good coaching staff. I mean, dude, he's got good bend, maybe not elite athleticism, but he's kind of been like brought up right. And he just kind of seems like he's around the ball a lot, man. And he just makes plays. And then Jonah Coleman, I got going for 50 plus yards through the air and a touchdown in the air too. Just in that barrage of catching the ball to the backfield. And then finally I got the Rutgers versus Washington game. I might coin this game like the Pat McAfee Special Teams Bowl or something, because there has been absolute just craziness in these games. Going all the way back to 2016, you had the John Ross kick return. 17, you had the Dante Pettis punt return. 2024, you had the Grady Gross nightmare where he missed 1 of 4 field goals. I mean, and just a guy who doesn't miss a lot of field goals. I just think something's crazy will happen in this game as well. Block punt, a block field goal, a kick return, punt return.
Adam Muhammad running one back.
Dude, exactly. Something like that. I mean, and Izzo mentioned this, man. Their field goal kicker, I don't care. You miss a couple. That is about 90% mental. I think those are kind of the matchups I'm looking forward to watching.
All right. For me, the players to watch on defense, it's going to be Alex McLaughlin and Rashawn Clark or Leroy Bryant, whoever's covering in the slot. And you see a lot of McLaughlin covering the slot. Same thing with Leroy Bryant and Rashawn Clark. I think that this Rutgers team can throw the ball. Sheffield's good. He's going to be somebody that's going to press those guys and make them have to make plays. So I'm curious to see how that plays out.
I'm just going to interrupt you real quick, just because that is a really good call, Mike. Yep. I just want to say, because I don't think you can expect Rashawn Clark to keep up with DT Sheffield speed wise and route running wise, unless he's like really physical. And I expect, based on staff tendencies so far, that we play Leroy Bryant in more than Rashawn Clark. I could be wrong, but that's my expectation. It seems like they trust him, and there isn't a really big reason to pull him and give more snaps to Rashawn Clark. If you think about it, given that he played so well last week, Leroy Bryant did. And I would assume, based on size alone, that Leroy Bryant, and because I've watched him close gaps before, that you have to put speed on speed to mitigate it a little bit.
The next one that I want to call out and look at is, what does Decker DeGraff do? The center of the field has been open all year long, and I know Noah has been telling me, man, rip the seams. And I think that that's one of those places where it's going to be open. It's been open all year. Let's start hitting. I mean, he had 6 catches for 62 yards last week. Let's keep that rolling. Let's keep it rolling. And then I want to make sure, like we were talking about before, the penalties. Can the whole team, but specifically in the trenches, then they stop the offsides. They come a little bit more mental prepared and ready to play. I don't want to see the center jumping offsides. That shouldn't happen.
This is the game to do it too, because like the way the football math works on this is that they should move the ball pretty well. If you target exactly what you're talking about with like DT Sheffield and stuff like that, they're going to score points in this game, I think. And they have a really solid running back, really solid blocking tight end, all this stuff. And I think that spells for a game where on offense, you're not, I don't know, you're just going to be able to check into a rhythm. There's no reason that you're physically tired and lacking discipline and stuff like that when you're handing the ball off to Jonah and like your run blocking assignments. Like there shouldn't be, this is the get right game for penalties. That's a really good call. Like you have to get it right in this game. This is the opportunity.
All right. Now, before we get into the score predictions, I want to make sure you guys go like, subscribe, comment, and if you're going to do anything, make sure you go and hit that button and join the Discord. It's free to join, but it's a 2,900 member Husky community, one of the biggest online communities for Husky football, but it is the best when it comes to information that does not hit the news immediately. You're going to get player news, you're going to get recruiting news, you're going to get coaching news, you're going to get all of that weeks before it actually hits the wire. So make sure you go and tap that link. All right, guys, prediction time. Noah.
That's me. Yep. Let's do it. Dude, the Rutgers firepower is real with Callie McManus and the 3 wide receivers. Rutgers they're going to take some shots, and honestly, I think they'll land some. The issue is their foundation is truly in their trenches is built on sand, man. The Hogs up front, man, they can't pass block worth the hell. And in my opinion, man, I just think at the end of the day, it's just going to be too much for them to overcome.
You can't block worth the hell.
Yeah. We're red zone. Hey, I used hog and hell, bro.
Hey, we're fully dialed right now, baby.
Dude, where Rutgers will struggle to get red zone stops, I think UW capitalizes. And that's where they'll pull away in the second half. Give me the Dogs 39, Rutgers 24.
Ooh, okay. All right, Izzo, you're closing it out.
All right. Line is now at -11.5, correct? I will say I've got this game is going to be high scoring. I think Kalik Manis is too efficient in the intermediate pass game, and I think this game presents too big of an opportunity for Rutgers coming off of a bye to have them be ill schemed. And I think they really want this one and need it, frankly, to like kind of save the season, because things can go real south here for them if you know, with the rest of the Big Ten schedule. I believe that we're going to control the ball, like control the game on offense and kind of exude our will, frankly. I will say that I believe that the score is going to be close at half. I think it's going to be like 17-14 at half or 21-14 at half. Dogs. 34-24 Huskies.
Okay. All right.
Listen, man, this is not Piscataway. Jersey. This is Montlake Boulevard, baby, and welcome to the Purple Rain.
Yep.
And dude, you're gonna have to come in here and absolutely play your ass off because, dude, you ain't coming in here and getting a W.
Do you think the 2 weeks of preparation mitigates any of that?
I mean, sure.
I think so with Shiano, yeah. But their defense is so bad, bro. Like, let's just call it what it is.
They are. Go watch the last 2 weeks and you tell me that their defense is good, and I'm gonna tell you you're a liar.
Like, if we were just being Twitter guys right now, which was what we are, but if we were just being unleashed Twitter guys, we would be like, your defense is ass, or whatever. That's what we'd be tweeting.
We might be doing that anyway. We might be doing. Rutgers fans don't talk a lot of crap, so it's not. I
don't know what type of. I always like to give a little. I like to ask for a little feedback, man. I love for some Rutgers juice on the comment section, man. I would love to see that.
Interesting. Yeah, I do want to hear, what did we get right? What did we get wrong from the Rutgers fans? I actually had a really cool, I'm not going to talk about my day job, but I talked to a lot of people all over the country all day. And I happened to talk to a gentleman who I'm sure will hear this now and kind of chuckle to himself, who is a huge Rutgers fan last week. And we're going to talk tomorrow, actually, he and I. And he knows his stuff. Like, he really is. He told me, he's like, you've never met a bigger Rutgers fan than I am. And then I said, okay, so let's talk a little ball. And we did. And he was immediately, two takeaways I had from our long conversation was, one was their wide receiver group. And I brought up DT Sheffield, and he's like, he's very good, but he is like third. He's not the guy. We have two other guys you need to go check out. I was like, okay. And then the other thing he told me was how deflated the fan base got when they gave up that many points to Iowa.
I would be deflated as well if I give up 38 points to Iowa. Well, I'm just being honest. It's brutal.
My brother noticed this at Maryland. He was at the game. So Maryland has a similar kind of fan base where it's a lot more like the Cougs, but with not as much passion.
History, yeah.
They got the history. First college football game ever was at Rutgers.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they don't have there's not a lot of that passion. And when they got behind with, like Crick was telling me, at the UW game, halftime everybody left. Like the stadium was like 30% empty.
They're going to watch the Yankee game, bro.
Yeah. Well, it's just they're not into it like what we are, and that's kind of why I'm really appreciating Husky football. And what we can do is our fan base, even though we have times where it feels like it's starting to wither a little bit, we're still so much more passionate than 90% of the fan bases out there. And we need that. We need you guys. We need everybody out there because we're different because of that.
Take care of business against Rutgers, and let's do this. Let's do this.
Yep. All right.
Make a run.
We're calling it good. All right. For my guys, Izzo and Noah, I'm Mike Flaunt, and this is the Dubbed Up Podcast. Good night, everybody.
Go Dogs, baby. What song are you singing to rap on the outro? Because right now people are seeing cards of recommendations of our most viewed and our other podcast that's most likely recommendation for them.
You should go back into singing Big Pun again.
Yeah, give us some Big Pun on the outro.
No, you've become our outro music.